Hello, this is Daniel Choi. I am the assistant instructor for Dr. Hong's BUAD 3020 class. Today we will cover global sourcing and procurement. This is chapter 13 that we will cover from McGraw-Hill's textbook today. The purpose of today's class is to explain what strategic sourcing is and why companies outsource their process externally and analyze the total cost of ownership and concludes it with evaluating sourcing performance. The world taught supply chain many things after COVID-19. Three things can be mentioned according to what you see on the screen. First one would be about risk identification and management. So with COVID-19, the world felt like shut down, and there was no logistics moving, and people thought of the industry realized how vulnerable they are about the risk of a supply chain. We remember people were were rushing to the Costco to get the toilet papers and all that, right? And then the second one is about the supplier diversification and quality assurance. So when COVID-19 first broke out from China, and when the manufacturing location was there, they realized if the supplier is only receiving from one location or from one country, they are not protected very well. Third one, technology and communication. So the industry realized that having the better technology and then communication can visualize the movement of the products, and then also it enables them to foresee the risk that that is not really predictable. So today's topic was named as strategic sourcing. So what does it mean by strategic? It involves developing and then managing supplier relationships to procure goods and services. Until here, it is for the purpose of sourcing. But with the later part, it has to meet businesses' immediate needs while supporting its strategic goals. So with goals to be variable, that how sourcing would look would also be different. Unlike traditional purchasing, that which was primarily transactional, strategic sourcing is critical, complex process because of ever-changing trend such as globalization and the competitive advantage that a firm seeks may be different by each of them. We learned about the definition of strategic sourcing in the previous slide, and in here we see a few key terms such as specificity, that is the extent of common items, so it has to do with diversity of the products that that a company offers. And then RFP, this is done from the customer to the vendor. And so the vendors may provide the quote based on the complexity or the price. Mainly it deals with the extent of the service and the price with it. Vendor managed inventory, it's also called as VMI. This is the inventory that a supplier deals with. Let us look at sourcing purchasing design matrix. It shows three factors and displays different type of purchasing and sourcing methods: specificity, contract duration, and then transaction cost. Specificity and then contract duration is vertical, so the high position is with low specificity and then short contract duration, and then bottom is high specificity and then long contract duration. And horizontal shows low versus high transaction costs. Two things that we can note is spot purchase versus strategic alliance. For spot purchase, we usually use it for the offering of low specificity and then short contract duration, so you can pick and choose what to buy, and then there is no long the supplier relationships, and then but if it is if it deals with high specificity, then you need to keep the long and then deep relationship with the supplier, so that is usually called as strategic alliance. You all would have heard of Believe effect, and then Believe effect refers to the amplification of demand variability. So through the supply chain, when demand had small variability, when it moves along to the end customer, it gets greater. So because of this effect, what happened at the origin, the tier 2 or 3, that issue will get greater and greater and would be out of control. And then the one more word here is continuous replenishment, and inventory is replaced frequently as part of ongoing process. So this can be supported with ERP system, and then even these days AI. So let's look at the variability of orders. It comes, the consumer sales did not have much variance of it, but as it goes along to retailers and wholesalers and then manufacturers, it gets bigger. It is because of the inventory that each player at the supply chain wants to keep and be prepared. So think about the toilet paper issues that we have experienced during the pandemic. So consumers may have it may have noticed like a small um, the um, small effect to the supply chain, and then it led to the panic buy, and then imagine all the um, uh, all the issues that would have affected to the supply chain. So here we take a look at the uncertainty framework of supply chain. It um, the the people, the Fisher and Lee, identified two characteristics of supply chain uncertainty by the product and manufacturing. By the product, functional versus innovative, and manufacturing, stable versus evolving. It is mainly about how much the product would change. So uh, think about the groceries, like basic apparels, versus cell phones and high-end computers. Functionally, it is looking for the efficiency, while innovative one, they have to respond to the customer demand and then trend. Manufacturing stable means it is yielding the the same rate of product quantity, while evolving means it is it is changing. It can change very much. So basically, how much it changes by the time. So over here, let us look at the functional versus innovative products in more detail. Functional products are everyday staples with long product life cycle, low contribution margins, limited variations. So in the example, as you would have seen, the produce, like crops, on that there will be always demands, but the contribution margins are little, and then there are not too much freedom that you can do as a manufacturer to apply about the products. Innovative products, these are driven by customer demand, and then it grants higher profit margins. But think about the cell phones. How often does it change? Every year, it has been giving the new model, new functions, and then think about 10 or 20 years ago, we were using the cell phone that was very outdated, and then no one really uses it, right? So here we will see in this, and then the next slide we will take a look at the characteristics of product and process. Product wise, we have thought about functional product and then innovative products in the previous two previous slides. So whether it is predictable versus unpredictable, product life long versus short, inventory value low versus high, like that. So it is basically how often does it change, how dynamic, and how much how often and then much it changes by the time and then market. And here is process characteristics: stable versus evolving. So breakdowns, few versus higher, at stable and then evolving, and process yield high and then lower. So as you see, like quality problems, supply sources, process changes, and then lead time. Stable is very much predictable, while evolving, it changes very much. So in the stable process, you would want to seek efficiency and then low cost, and allowing the as few mistakes as possible. And then evolving, we do not know where it goes. It is important to be agile, adaptable to the new trend and the market demand. The supply chain strategies. Efficient supply chains focus on cost efficiency. Risk catching supply chains focus on resource sharing to mitigate risk. And responsive supply chains prioritize flexibility and responsiveness. Agile supply chains emphasize responsiveness to customer needs. So efficient means because there will be not much change. It has to be stable and then efficient and reliable. And then responsive means it has to be agile and has to respond to the ever-changing customer needs or environment of supply chains. So here we talk about outsourcing. You would have heard about outsourcing lots of times, and it is basically transferring internal activities and decision-making responsibility to external providers. So you are not doing these activities in-house. The employees that will be working on this would be outside workers. For instance, as a warehouse, like a manager, I do not have like employees under me. It is a contract warehouse because we would not really want to buy the land and then hire people. We do not know how when we will be losing the programs, the vehicle programs that we do. So to be adaptable to that, we decided to outsource it, thinking about the technologies and then also and then the logistics expertise. It was better to rely on the external source. Reasons to outsource and benefits. Outsourcing can enhance financial performance by improving return on assets, generating cash, accessing new markets, and etc. So it is basically buying the capabilities outside, and then you can pick and choose by just having a contract with multiple options that you have out there. It also drives just operational improvements by boosting quality and productivity, and it is because you're the customer. You can you outsource it. Sometimes it may be hard to train them to do what what you needed, but it is outsourcing is like easy for the company to push those vendors and then suppliers to encourage like quality because they know pretty well, and then about how to shorten the cycle times, just relying on it and then asking questions, and then bringing up the KPIs. So, and then lastly, organizations can enhance effectiveness by focusing on core competencies, something something about what you truly are. And that one you are not giving away to other organizations, because it is best to do it yourself, and then you do not want to lose it. Logistics outsourcing. So that was the example that I have given, such as the warehousing or transportation and all that. Those are important functions in material flow cycle, procurement and production control, and these can be supported well in physical movement of the parts and materials to drive the efficiency and then cost savings purpose. Let's look at this exhibit, the structuring supplier relationships. What to outsource and then what to not outsource. Coordination characteristics. When it is standardized and then when it is easy to coordinate the outside players about what to do, then you can outsource it and then let them do what you want. But if it is not very well defined and cannot be transferred very well, then it is better to choose not outsource. Next one, investment in strategic assets characteristics. Significant investments in highly specialized assets are needed. So when investments are high, then risks are too high. Then when risks are too high, you want to keep it with yourself. And when assets are commonly available, it is better to tell those external vendor to go out and then find the cost-effective way. Lastly, intellectual property characteristics. So if it is if you're confident to protect it very well, then and then you can outsource it. But if it is easy to imitate or weak to protect, then it is better to keep it in-house. Green sourcing. This reshifts to the environmental responsibility, and then when companies try to leverage their supply chains to achieve green outcomes, that's one of the criteria they can choose to achieve the goals, green goals that they have. So then maybe considered as their option to source. There are 6 steps in green sourcing. It may be just the regular sourcing process too. First, assess the opportunity. In what way that green purpose can be achieved. Second one, we need to have the cross-functional ownership. So pick each player who can provide the feedback and then contribute in decision making process, and assess the supply base. After picking who internally would assess, then we go out to engage vendors. That's the third step. And the fourth, develop the sourcing strategy with vendors, and then internal develop the sourcing strategy. And then the fifth is to implement this strategy. So after developing it, it has to be implemented. Lastly, institutionalize the sourcing strategy. It is to implement metrics and an audit to monitor performance, because we want to know whether we are doing it well or not, right? So that's where we need KPI, key performance indicator, whether we are doing it well or not, such as carbon footprint or the carbon emissions and waste reduction, something like that. Here we encounter one of the most important concept here: total cost of ownership. The process of effective sourcing includes opportunity assessment, engaging agents and suppliers, strategy development, implementation, and institutionalization through performance monitoring. So, if you look at the exhibit here, there are three kind of costs contributing to the total cost of ownership: acquisition costs, ownership costs, and then post ownership costs. So, then assessing what will be how much it would be by acquiring it and then owning it, and then after own we manage and then ready sustain. We need to know whether this total cost of ownership can be larger or smaller by choosing which way our supply chain would look like. There are two performance measures that we can remember. First, inventory turnover. Inventory turnover means how frequently inventory is replaced. So you sell the inventory, then it becomes our sales. So it is when with inventory, how often it turns over would indicate whether you have enough inventory, whether and then thinking about whether you could reduce inventory to make those inventory as like a sales faster. So when it is when it is small, then it will be more effective. But one risk is if inventory is too small, then you're also risking the factor of premium freight and then or stockouts. Weeks of supply. So here the weeks of supply is also measuring how much inventory you have. So cost of goods sold, and then average inventory value. So how many weeks you have. So with inventory you have, how long you can serve your customers. You would want to keep as long as you want, so you would be able to protect yourselves from stockouts, and then also being able to respond to the customers with enough inventory that you have. When you're asked, oh, how much we urgently need more product. How much can you support? Having this in your mind, you are able to ship ahead to meet customers' needs.
Finish up. Here's my homework.
Sourcing performance measures. Inventory. There are three things you need over here. So total revenue, cost of revenue, and then the inventory. So cost of goods sold is one of the key number that you need to have to calculate this. So cost of goods sold is 141,048, and then divided by 4,855. So that becomes 29 turns per year. So with inventory you have, it will be replaced 29 times to generate the revenue. And weeks of supply is actually reversal of it, right? And then multiply by 52 because of the how many weeks we have. So it is the opposite, 4,855 and then 141,048. So it becomes 1.8 weeks, having that much. So when in this kind of case, as mentioned before, if customer wants like a 2 weeks worth of sales in advance, we cannot support.